Welcome to the back to the course How Yoga Works. We're now doing class 4 at the close of our second week of teachings. So let's first take a moment and set our motivation for being here in this course, for being here in this class today. So think of your own personal motivation for why you're here. You can think of specific small things like to learn the material so I can get a certificate. But dig down deeper along with that. And what is your motivation for getting the certificate, for example? Be very clear and make it as large and expansive as you can. Nashi Puki Chukshin Meto Tram Rira Blishi Nyende Gampadi Sangye Shindu Mikte Owargi Drokun Namdak Shingla Chuparsho Itam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryatayomi. Sangye Chiram Soki Chuknam La Changchu Partu Dakni Kyapsu Chi Daki Chishe Kipe Sunam Ki Trola Penchir Sangye Druparsho Sangye Churan Soki Chuknam La Changchu Partu Dakni Kapsuchi Daki Chishe Kipe Sunam Ki Trola Penchir Sangye Druparsho Sangye Churan Soki Chuknam La Changchu Partu Dakni Kapsuchi Daki Chishe Kipe Sunam Ki Drola Pinchir Sangye Druparsho. So before we get started, were there any questions from previous classes? No questions? Okay, so let's get started. So there are some pieces that I have to include from the last class when Geshe Michael taught it, also so that you can do your homework for class 3. And that is to go over the 10 non-virtues. Let's see. Sorry, having a share moment. They're both open, but the file names are so long that they both appear to have the same file name. There we go. Okay. So the 10 non-virtues. When the Buddha taught about the actions that we do, the actions of body, speech, and mind that we do that contribute to our suffering, it said that there are 84,000 different negative acts that we do. And the Buddha condensed these down to 10. So these 10 basically encompass 84,000. So when you hear these 10, don't think of each one as, only relating to the actual words that are used for that negative emotion. But think about how you do things that are even tangentially related to that one. And these 10 are like karma itself, divided into those that are done with our mind, those that are done with our speech, and those that are done with our body, with actions. Okay, they're called the 3 gateways: our body, speech, and mind. So first, and these go from most gross to most subtle, most obvious to most subtle. So we start with the gateway of the body. And there are 3 that are done with the gateway, 3 of the 10 that are done with the gateway of the body. So another preface for all 10 of these, for all 84,000 of these, is that we shouldn't take the opportunity to use these as a way to feel guilty or to feel bad or wrong. The Buddhist teachings are very clear and very direct. There are actions that will bring you future suffering, future pain, and there are actions that will bring you future happiness, future pleasure. It's very direct. It's very simple. There's no reason to feel guilty or to feel bad. It's just simply how it is. When you do this, this is the kind of result you can expect. So when we take out that that emotion of feeling guilty, we're not beating ourselves down. It helps us retain the power of a person who can change their future behavior. If we keep calling ourselves bad and unworthy, and we start to believe it when we repeat things over and over, and we can get depressed, and then we're not likely to practice at all. Depression is a downward spiral. And so I particularly like that these teachings are just very direct. And it's just a simple cause and effect. You do this, you get this result. No judgment involved. Okay, so the three negative actions related to body, related to the gateway of body, the gateway of our actions. The first is sokchu. Sokchu. Sorry, much. Cut it off. Cut the sound off. Say sok chu. I like to see lips moving, please. Sok chu. Sok means life, and chu you may recognize from other teachings. It means to cut. So sokchu is to cut life, which is to kill. And it's to kill any living being. So that includes not just humans and human fetuses, but also animals. These are the living beings we can see. Fish, cows, insects. So according to Buddhism, any creature that has life does have the potential to become enlightened. Now, only human beings, this kind of body and mind is the only kind from which we can reach enlightenment in this life. But in Buddhism, there are rebirths. So when one particular collection of body and mind, this bag of bones, when this bag of bones dies, then we move on to another. We occupy another body. So an animal can become a human in a future life. And from that platform could become enlightened. And so that's why their life is precious too, as well as ours. The second of the 10 negative actions, and this is related again to the gateway of the body, is Ma Jin Len. Say Ma Jin Len. Ma Chin Len. Ma Chin means not giving, not giving. And Len means to take. So this phrase means to take what is not given. We normally call it stealing. But to say to take what is not given just gives it extra flavor. We are taking something for ourselves from someone else when it was not offered to us to take. Like in my country, it was just very common that people who worked, who were employed at some organization, that you take office supplies home with you. Like people would take pens, people would take paper, people would take various office supplies from the office and take them home with them for their personal use. And I did always think that that was rather strange that people would do this. And then when I heard about this, that, Buddhists consider stealing to be taking what is not given, that it's like, oh, that's very strong in my culture. Another thing that's strong in my culture, and I'm not sure about how this works for others, my guess is it's not too dissimilar, is that every year we go through a process in my country to report our income. And so we do self-reporting of the income that we make over the year, and we pay a certain tax to the government based on that amount of income that we have. And again, in my culture, it's very common, and it's even considered like a good thing if you fudge the numbers, if you hide income so that you don't have to pay tax on it. Because it's based on this wrong idea that the way you get money is by stashing it somewhere, hiding it somewhere, keeping it away from other people is the way you hold on to money, having money. But in the Buddhist teachings, we learn that that's not how you get money. You get wealth from being generous with what you have with other people. So, hoarding away money is not the way to keep it. That's not going to bring the result of having money. So with all of these to look and see, taking what was not given, how does not paying taxes relate to taking what is not given? It's like in my country, it's a social contract that each of us contribute financially to supporting the work of the government. And so by not paying taxes, we're actually taking what is expected that we would give to the government. So it is a kind of stealing. The third one of the 10 non-virtues, and the last one related to the gateway of the body, is lokyam. Say lokyam. Lokyam. And this means sexual misconduct. The main misconduct related to sexual activity is to engage in intercourse with someone else's partner. Adultery. It's not limited to just adultery. There are many different types of sexual misconduct. For example, masturbation is considered sexual misconduct. Using orifices other than a penis and vagina, so mouth, anus, any other orifice is considered sexual misconduct. So the thing to say about this, because it seems that human beings are, we're in the desire realm. We're very interested in things that bring us pleasure. And sex can bring a lot of pleasure. And we seem to like it a lot. And we seem to like it in, varying ways. Some people like as much variety as possible. So again, with these 10 non-virtues, with any non-virtue, it's not to feel guilty that, for example, if you like oral sex, if that is, for example, something that you like to do, then just think about what could the possible negative consequences be of this, or what is behind the desire to have that kind of sex, and to explore. The whole thing about the teachings is to consider them, to think about how they apply in our life. And if there's something that we can't accept right now, we can put it on the shelf for consideration for later. And maybe if we're still doing some activity, we can make a point to really be observant about what's going on for us when we do that activity. So those are the 3 of the 10 non-virtues related to the gateway of the body. Next, we have 4 that are related to the gateway of speech. The first is Zunma. Say Zunma. Zunma. This means to lie. And lying is defined as giving a false impression, which is more delicate. It again gives us a greater flavor of what it means to lie. So anytime that we communicate, and actually as we expand out with this particular negative emotion, it can be more than our speech, right? It can be the way that the expression we have on our face could be giving a false impression than what the truth is. It could be what we do with our body. Like, we can do certain expressions with our face, with our shoulders, with our hands. We can give some impression. We can communicate with other people, and we're very skilled. Even small children are very skilled at this. Of not speaking, not conveying truth of what's going on. We find many different ways to do this. So this is very common for our species to give false impressions. There are exceptions for if you have any Mahayana vows, any vows related to, like Bodhisattva vows, for example. The Hinayana vows are about not harming other people. They're about controlling ourselves so that we don't harm other people. The Mahayana vows, there are more of them, but they're also about protecting other people, not only from our actions, but from other things that may be going on. So, for example, let's say there's someone who is being chased by somebody who wants to bring them harm. This is going on a lot in my country right now. And this person runs by you, and then later on, the person who's chasing them comes to you and says, "Did you see so and so?" If you have bodhisattva vows, you would misdirect. You would give a false impression in order to protect that person from being caught, from being harmed. You would do so knowing full well that by giving a false impression, you yourself are committing a negative action, but you are also protecting someone from harm. And so you're doing what's called a mixed karma. You are going to get positive results from protecting somebody, but you're going to get negative results from having done a misdirection. So the second of the four related to the gateway of speech is called trauma. Say trauma. Trauma is divisive speech. And this is speech that is done for the purpose of driving a wedge between other people. And again, this is so common to our species. We complain about people that we work with other people, I don't know, in order to that they will feel the same way about that person as we do. When I was a child, I mean, oh boy, in elementary school, in the young school, when I was a kid, there was a lot of this going on between kids. Kids do it a lot, they try and split up other people. Not every kid. Some kids like to bring people together. And we don't even have to be so direct about it. like when we're talking with someone, like, oh, you know Joe, don't you? Yeah, boy, if you had heard him talking about you after you left on Friday, we just intimate with the way we speak that there's something going on there that should split these two people apart. The third of the 10 negative actions, the 4 related to the gateway of speech, of the 10 negative actions, is called sik tsu. Say sik tsu, sik tsu. And this means harsh words. And this is clear. Just any time that we yell at someone or put someone down, or, it's mainly about anger, even if what we say is nice, but we say it with a tone of voice that is dismissive. Like I particularly think about when I'm on a call with like customer service. It used to be that I would get really upset with the customer service people, and I would get angry, but I wouldn't yell at them. But like at the end of the call, I would be like, well, thank you very much, which means the exact opposite of what I wasn't really happy. I wasn't thanking them. The tone of my voice was meant to make them feel bad. What did I think? Did I think that they would somehow change the way they are with other people if I was dismissive of them? I don't know what I was thinking. Not very clearly, obviously, because there's, when people speak that way to me, I don't behave differently. Then the fourth kind of non-virtue related to the gateway of speech is nga kyel. Nga kyel. You'll see in the answer key that they use the phrase sik kyel. So these are very similar phrases. Ngak means speech. Ngakyel is meaningless speech. Sik means words. So meaningless. We have this word in English called yammering. We're just, going on and on and on. Talking a mile a minute about not much at all. There are exceptions here also with meaningless talk. Like if you're in a situation, let's say you're at a big family dinner, and the custom of your family is that everyone's talking, everyone's engaged in conversation with each other, and it may happen to all be about the weather or a sports team or a political event or something not related to getting ourselves out of suffering. This doesn't mean that we shouldn't participate, if it would be uncomfortable for other people if we did not engage in small talk. That's another phrase we use in English, small talk. Then we should do it for the benefit of others. The worst kind of meaningless talk meaningless speech, is to recite prayers without thinking about the meaning. So when our practice of prayers, like the prayers we do before teachings and after teachings, or if you have any other practices that you do, if you just recite the words and you don't think about the meaning, that is meaningless talk. Just by saying words in the prayers, they won't have the benefit that you desire to have if you don't also think about their meaning. So when you do prayers before class, after class, other prayers, think about the meaning of what it is you're saying. Feel it in your heart. The words don't have power in and of themselves, other than what we give to them. So we should give them power. Now there are 3 of the gateway of mind. The first is Nabsem. Say Nabsem. This means coveting. And coveting means to have a strong desire for something that someone else has. It's the root of jealousy. So these are, remember, karmas done with the gateway of the mind. So these are mental karmas. So you can, this is also occurs in the Judeo-Christian religion as a negative action. And that is like coveting your neighbor's wife, for example. So even in your mind, desiring to be in physical contact with your neighbor's spouse, even that mental karma is a negative action. Normally, when we covet something with that strong emotion of desiring to have for ourselves, it is so strong that we would be willing to do something negative to somebody else in order to get what it is that we want. So that's the danger, because as we know, it is a movement of the mind that inspires actions of body and speech. So we're getting more subtle here. No one else may see that you covet your neighbor's, Tesla or something. But it's planting seeds in your mind to be not only supporting wanting things, desiring things, but also supporting or giving fuel to wanting what other people have and wanting it for yourself. Then the 9th of the 10 negative actions is nusem. Say nusem. Nusem. And this means harmful intent. Nu means harm, hurt. And this is harmful intent. It's this sort of very, very strange happiness when others fail. Being happy when other people don't get what they want. And this is very, very dangerous. To want other people to fail, to not only want them to fail, but to feel some sort of happiness or glee when they do fail. I have this one a lot these days, I must admit. There's a particular person in my country I feel happy every time he loses in court. And a more positive way of me living these teachings would to be happy not that he loses in court, but to be happy that other people are protected from harm. If I could switch the way I think about it, that would bring me better results in the future than taking great delight in the fact that he's losing in court. The last one is called lokta. Lokta. Say lokta. And this means wrong views. And there are many different wrong views. They say the worst of the wrong views is not believing in karma, not believing in causes and consequences, that what we do, what we think, what we say will bring us results, that the world is not happening to us, but we, through our actions, are creating the world that we will experience. So this kind of wrong view is like anytime we do anything, it's like, oh, well, this is not such a big deal. I can tell a small lie. Or it's okay that I'm happy this person lost in court. It's okay, because he's such a bad person. It will bring me negative results. So I'm forgetting that what I'm doing is creating displeasure for myself in the future. So lokta is the root of the other 9 negative actions. So those are the 10 non-virtues. And now you can complete your homework for class 3. So let's go on to class 4. And this class is, again, a lot of lists. And I'm going to try and cover these as quickly as possible so that we can stay on track with this course. So I can cover all the lists. They're all in your reading, so that's a good thing. So we're going to talk in this class about a number of different divisions, different ways of talking about karma, different ways of dividing karma. And then we're also going to talk about karmic results. So we've talked about in previous classes about what karma is. The basic nature of it is that it's movement of the mind and what it inspires in our body and speech. We talked about karma being positive or I should say virtuous or non-virtuous or neutral, that a positive or virtuous karma is something that brings us pleasure in the short term and brings us the highest goal in the long term, right? According to the Abhidharma school, nirvana. And something that's non-virtuous is something that brings us displeasure or discomfort in the future. And then something that's neutral brings us it is neither an act that is virtuous or non-virtuous, and it does not bring a result of pleasure or displeasure in the future. So now it is time for us to speak about what happens when we do virtuous and non-virtuous result. So first, we're going to talk about the division of karma according to when we experience the results. And there are 3 basic divisions. There is, the first one is called Tangyurgile. Tangyurgile. And this means tong may be recognizable. That means to see. So this is karma that we are going to see, meaning results which we're going to experience in this life that we're in right now. Before we die. The next of the division into when we experience the results is Kyene Nongyurgile. Say Kyene Nyong Gyurgile. Kyene means after having been born, after your birth. And Young Gyur means will experience. Will experience. And lay means karma. So karma we will experience after we're born. And what does this after we're born mean? It means our next life. Now, not counting the pardo, not counting the state in between the death of this life and the birth in our next life. So it's the birth after the pardo birth. So basically what this means is karma which is experienced in the very next life after this one. We talked earlier about the 5 immediate misdeeds. So these are examples of the kind of karma that we'll see in our next birth. And then we have Lendrang Shen La Nyongyurgile. So say it, len trong shen lan yong gyurgile. Len trong means time. Shen means other. And non-gyurgile, again, is karma, which we will experience. So karma, which we will experience at some other time. So what that means is karma that we're not going to experience in this life, that we're not going to experience in our very next life, but that we're going to experience in the life after that or some other life after that. Could be the second life from now, or it could be the 300,000th life from now. It will be experienced some future time. So those are ways of dividing karma into when we will experience the results. And why we have this division, or why this division is even talked about, will become more clear as we continue on with other divisions in this class. Our next division is it's called Namin Young Nekile. And this means karma which is certain to ripen, karma which is definite to ripen, karma which will definitely bring results. And there are 4 kinds. There are 4 of this kind of karma. Now, doesn't all karma ripen into an experience? And no, all karma does not ripen into an experience. If we have particularly weak karma, and we will talk about what that means also, it may not ripen. If we have, from the Mahayana point of view, if we have purified negative karma, it might not ripen. So even when people become free from the cycle of suffering, they've become an arhat, someone who's in nirvana, or they become someone who is a totally, completely enlightened Buddha. They may still have the seeds, negative seeds in their minds, and we'll talk more about that in future classes. But these are seeds that will never ripen by virtue of the fact of their state of being, by what they have done. Those seeds will never ripen. So back to the ones that are certain to ripen. And I mean, if we think about this in terms of the positive actions that we do, the virtuous actions that we do, these are very important. We want to make sure that virtuous actions we do ripen into positive experience. And with our motivation, and our dedication, if we direct those actions towards the highest goal that we have, we can use these 4 aspects, these 4 characteristics, to make a powerful karma that will ripen. So That's the way to think about that. So the first of the four kinds of power, four kinds of karma that will ripen, is called shukdrakpo. Shukdrakpo. And this means powerful force. And what this means is that we do an action, we commit a virtue or a non-virtue with a fierce, powerful emotion. So if we're talking about virtue, for example, if we make an offering to our heart lama, and we do so not just by, shoving some money into their hand, but we do so with this powerful emotion of faith in and respect and gratitude for what it is that our heart teacher has given and continues to give to us. That makes the karma very powerful and more certain to ripen. So, fierce faith in particular, feelings of faith whenever we are doing virtuous activity. This faith, this understanding that we are creating our future experience through what it is that we do. We can feel it in our hearts. So the negative ones would be doing things with strong anger, doing things with strong ignorance, strong desire. The stronger the emotion, the more certain the karma is to ripen. The second of the four is called Yonten Kishin. Yunten Kishin. And Yunten means a good quality, a good personal quality. And Xing here means basis or object. So we are doing something towards an object that has special qualities. So this is typically like the highest object, or the object with the highest special qualities, is called koinchok. Is the three jewels: the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. An enlightened being, one who is omniscient and has completely removed all obstacles to omniscience. The Dharma, not the teachings, not like this class, but the Dharma in the sense of it living in a person, the cessations and the paths, the realization in a person's mind. And then the Sangha, on the surface, people who wear robes, but it refers to people who have seen the nature of reality directly, people who have seen selflessness or emptiness directly. So actions we do towards those three are certain to ripen into a result. And there are more than just the three jewels. There are lists of like rankings of objects that we can act towards. Our Lama is a very high object. Our parent, because our Lama is teaching us how to get out of suffering. Our parents are very high objects because they brought us this particular life as a human being. They gave us the platform, the only platform we can use to get out of the cycle of suffering. Then like humans over animals, because humans, as I said earlier, can get enlightened. It's possible to get enlightened. Animals, not so much, because from that platform, they can't get enlightened. And then there are even some objects, some physical objects that can be high. Like, for example, there are sutras that talk about where the Buddha talks about, if you clean a temple or you make offerings at a temple, it will be certain to bring you certain positive results. So we've got the first one being a strong emotion, and the second one being a special object. The third one is called Gyunchaksu. Gyunchaksu. And this means doing things on a continual basis. So if things that we do over and over and over and over again, they become like almost second nature to us. And again, like with prayers as the example, if we do prayers and we're very familiar with the prayers and we do the prayers over and over and over again, that does make them powerful, but we also have to remember not to do it in a way that is rote. That's the mere repetition of words. So things that we do consciously over and over and over again on a continual basis. So like I think of this one like when I was a very small child, very small, like maybe 3, I started begging my parents to let me play the piano. There was no one around me who played the piano. We didn't have a piano, but I really, really wanted to play a piano. And they were not rich people. They found a used player piano, which is where you push the pedals, and there's this scroll of paper with holes in it, and the air blows through the holes and it depresses certain keys. So it makes music. When you push these pedals, it blows the air through the holes in the paper. And I couldn't even reach the pedals, but I would like stand and jump back and forth on the pedals to play the piano. So I just think that, maybe in some previous life, I played the piano a lot. Like I came into this life with this strong desire to play the piano. So doing something over and over and over again makes it more certain to bring a result. The fourth one is called Pama Supa. Pama Supa. Pa means father. Ma here means mother. And Supa means to kill. So killing your mother or father is certain to bring a result. And if you remember, this is one of the 5 immediate misdeeds. Immediate meaning it will ripen in your very next life. So the text is very clear to say, even if you kill your mother or father with a virtuous intent, it's still going to bring this negative result. It is certain to bring this negative result. And so euthanasia, for example, killing someone with the idea that you are putting them out of their misery, that you are bringing an end to their suffering, is a very bad, very non-virtuous action, especially with your parents, who are very special objects to you. And there's a lot more I could say about this, but I want to get through our list. And we can hopefully explore more as we go further in this course. The next way of dividing karma up is we have 2 features that can cause a karma to ripen in this life. So we just talked about 4 ways that a karma is certain to ripen. And now we've got 2 features that are related to causing karma to ripen, not only for certain, but in this life. In this life. So the first is Shinkepa. Oops, this one. Shinkikepa. And Shin means object, and Kepa means special or distinctive. So, and this is very closely related to what we talked about before with the 3 jewels, for example, being a very high object. So the higher the object is for you, if it's a very high object, and other elements of the act that you do, the karma you create, can make the karma ripen in this life. So here they talk about your root lama is the most high distinctive object, because this person, this lama, is giving you everything you need to you yourself get out of suffering, get out of this cage that we are in, where we can only suffer. And then the second is Sampai Kyepar. And Sampe is a word we've had before, Sampa, and that is a thought or a motivation. And Kyepar again is special or distinctive or extraordinary. So something we have done with a very powerful motivation can cause a karma to ripen in this life. So the practice of the diamond way, the practice of Tantra, is, you can say, like, depends on karma ripening in this life. It is possible to become enlightened in this very life. And the practice of Tantra is the method. The practice of the diamond way is the method to do that, to accomplish that. So again, we're not talking Abhidharma Kosha here. We're not talking Hinayana. I'm talking Mahayana. So, but if we think about and do our practice, keeping in mind these two factors related to a karma ripening in this life, it makes our practice of the diamond way so much more powerful, so much more likely to ripen into a result in this life. So those are two factors about our actions that we do. And then there's another list which is related, called the 4 powerful objects that can cause a karma to ripen in this life. Where? Oh, there it is. The first one, so we talked before about the 3 jewels being a very powerful object, about your root lama, your heart lama, being a very, very powerful object. So here are 4 more that the Abhidharma Kosha specifically mentions as being very powerful objects that we can, if we do virtuous things with them, for them, they become, a positive experience that we can see in this life. If we do something that harms them or hurts them or disturbs them, it will bring a very, very, very unpleasant experience in this life. So the first one is Kanta Kopa Lelang Matakpa. Now these all end, all of them. Anyway, I know the 3 do. Lelang Matakpa. Yeah, the first 3 of the 4. Lelang Matakpa. And this means someone who has just arisen out from, or someone who has just gotten up from. Angkap Kopa. That means anyone, that's conduct, and Kopa means a cessation meditation. So if you took the meditation course, we did mention this, but just briefly. But there is something the Abhidharma school and other schools call a cessation meditation. And it's when you have brought your mind to such a very subtle and still state of mind that it is almost as if the mind has stopped. The mind is not stopped. That's not possible. But it is very still. And they say that someone who has been in this state of meditation can be very close to reaching nirvana themselves. So someone who has just come out of, who has just arisen from, a cessation meditation is a very powerful object. Now, why is that? They have a mind that is very pure at that point. They are, according to Abhidharma, very close to nirvana. So just when they arise out of that meditation, they are very powerful objects. So if someone just came out of a cessation meditation retreat, they're crossing the boundary, coming out. If you offer them with, the strongest motivation you can, and all the other things, you offer them, for example, food and water. That becomes a very powerful act of generosity that will be certain to ripen, that can be certain to ripen in this life. Okay, the second one, and again, it ends with this lelang matakpa. So we're talking about someone who has just come out of or just arisen from. And here it's two different things. The first is Jampat Seme. So this is a meditation on immeasurable love. So they've just come out of a meditation on immeasurable love. The Hinayana schools have something called four immeasurables. It doesn't mean the same things as it does in the Mahayana school, but they are still very powerful meditations. Then the second is Nyomo Mepe Tinginzin. And this is where they have been in a meditative state, a single-pointed concentration. And specifically here, it means that there are no negative emotions in their heart, in their mind. So when someone has just come out from meditation on immeasurable love, or on being single-pointed, a single-pointed state of mind, and they have no negative emotions in their mind. So they're fresh out of those meditations. Negative emotions have not asserted themselves again. The third one is Tonglang Leilang Matakpa. So they have just arisen from Tonglang. Tonglang, you may be familiar with, that's the path of seeing. That is the actual meditation, the direct perception of emptiness, and the aftermath. What occurs after seeing the four Arya truths. A person who has freshly, for the first time ever, seen emptiness directly is an extremely powerful object. And then the fourth type of powerful object is called a drachompa. A drachompa. A drachompa is an arhat. So, and an arhat is a person who has escaped from the wheel of suffering. So they have no negative emotion, no seeds, negative seeds that will ripen left in their minds. They are completely free of all suffering. So a person who has just become an arhat is a very powerful object. So now I will briefly go through the types of consequences. They call them the 3 types of consequences, but there's really 4. The second one has 2 parts. Okay. The first one is called namin gidrebu. And namin, we've talked about before, means cooked or ripened. So, and trebu means consequence or result. So the first kind of consequence is a ripened one that has ripened. And the reading for this part is from Jason Kappa's Lamrim Chenmo. And he goes through the 10 negative actions and talks about these types of consequences that come from doing these actions. So he talks about how does killing, for example, result in a ripened consequence. So using killing as an example, and this is also, there's another division of 3 within these 3. And it's how a karma ripens, or what a karma ripens as, is affected by whether the deed done was greater, medium, or lesser. So greater, medium, and lesser refers to your motivation, your awareness or cognizance, understanding of who it is that you are acting with or against or for. The act itself, how harmful or beneficial it is, can make something greater, medium, and lesser. So if something is done greater, negative action, it will result in birth in the hell realms. If you do a negative deed to what they call medium, so maybe the killing that you do is not premeditated, then your next rebirth would be as what's called a hungry ghost. And then maybe if you do the light version of killing a mosquito with or let's say stepping on an ant as you're walking down the street, you weren't really even aware that the ant was there. That would result in birth in the animal realm. So the ripening is into one of the 3 lower realms. The 10 negative actions will result in a lower rebirth meaning in the hells as a hungry ghost or as an animal. The second way of talking about consequences is called gyutunpe drebu. And this means consistent consequences. And this one, there is 2 types. So consistent means it's similar to. It's a corresponding result to the cause. So, for example, there's the two types. There's a consistent experience consequence. I'm going to turn this off. A consistent experience consequence, and a consistent activity consequence. So consistent experience means we will experience ourselves something similar or consistent with what we did. So if we killed someone else, we will be killed, or our life will be shortened, or we will get sick a lot. Consistent activity consequence would be that, we take some great delight in killing. We have a habit, a propensity to continue doing that activity. So, maybe like there was this kid in my neighborhood when I was younger who really liked catching cats and putting firecrackers in the box with the cats. So he really liked scaring cats. And I thought it was just horrid. But so he had this propensity to cause great fear to cats. Who knows what that is a result of? So the two types of consistent consequence are consistent experience, having our personal experience that is consistent with what we did, and then consistent activity, doing things consistent with what we have done before, like having a habit or a propensity. And then the third is called the environmental consequence. That means the world in which we live, the place where we live. It could be our whole planet. It could be our country. Like sexual misconduct, the environmental consequence is living in a very stinky place. So, garbage is all around, and it really smells badly and smells bad. And we see that, for example, like there's a state in my country called Texas, and it's at the border with the country of Mexico. And if you go to that border, you can see on the side of my country, there are very nice homes, there are nice cars. It's very clean. And then right across the border, we're talking just feet away. There's like two fences that are some, I don't know, 20, 40 feet apart from each other. But just right on the other side of this invisible line between countries, people live in shacks, and very dirty, and they're very poor. And the people just a few feet away are amazingly rich in comparison. So, and the environmental consequence would be the what the place is like that we are born into in our next life. And Jason Kappa, in your reading, you'll see, goes into great detail about these 4 different types of consequences. And your homework will ask you to explain these or recite these. as well. So I have butt up against the end of class time. And again, no time to dedicate. So please, I implore you to please, 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 as soon as we hang up from the Zoom call, do a dedication and bring it very strongly in your heart what you would like to direct the virtuous activity you've done by being in this class and learning these ideas so that they can be certain to ripen in that way. Okay. So thank you for your participation, for your attention. Thank you, live translators, for doing what I think is magic in changing my words into words that other people can understand. Thank you, tech team, for making this all possible. Thank you, ACI, for hosting these courses, for bringing us all together. And thank you, Geshe Michael, for putting these courses together and teaching them so beautifully. So have fun with your readings and your homework and your meditation. And I will see you again next week. Thank you so much.